All right, you guys, what's going on? So last time I did one of these a couple weeks ago, I think a few of you guys enjoyed it, so I figured I'd do another one since I just finished up another series, which was wow, Serious Sam. What can I say about this game? So it's the first game in a long time that there was a time in the middle of the game where I actually surprisingly wasn't enjoying it. Like it felt more like a chore. And then it kind of came back around a little bit at the end. But this game, Serious Sam, had almost like a what would you call it? Like a schizophrenic type makeup, right? I felt that this game, somewhere in the middle, about where we transitioned into going into France, took a sharp right turn at Albuquerque and never came back. It became really weird. I think I said during the making of that series that it felt like a whole new development team took over, or maybe I know it's been a long time in development. It could have been the first half of the game was developed like 4 years ago, and then they finished it off. But it felt totally different, right? It was so weird. It was so weird. But I finished it up, and it's a pretty crazy game as far it, and all the Serious Sams have always been this way, right? It's always arena style FPS, crazy. One thing I didn't like that a lot of games always do, they kept taking my guns away from me. Now, when I had all my guns, it made it almost easy mode. I didn't like the mechs at all, kind of like the Marauder. Now, one thing, speaking of the Marauder, if you can see him, he's right there. Right there. He's hiding behind those two guys. You can just see him sticking up. There's the Marauder. Okay, so Doom does have a DLC coming up. I just typed it in. I wanted to double check it. According to IGN, Doom Eternal, the Ancient Gods DLC release date has been announced for October 20th. So, I got to add that to my list of stuff here. I got some stuff I want to talk to you guys about. So, that's all I really wanted to say about Serious Sam. It's only supposed to be kind of a goofy, fun game and kind of a fill-in game until we get to the real AAA blockbuster titles that I've been looking forward to. But it was worth mentioning that it started off super fun, and somewhere in the middle it lost me. Kind of grabbed me at the end a little bit, but I'm needless to say, I'm happy that I finished it. I am happy that I finished that game. Okay. So I got a couple of things I want to go over here. So we're about a month away from some of these blockbuster titles. Now I'm just going to touch on the ones that I am looking forward to. There's a ton of games. There's a ton of games that come out every month. There's a lot of games, a lot of indie titles. There's a lot of things over the past few years, I've been definitely touching into some of these indie type games and find some serious gems in there. Some really, really fun games. So don't ever be like have the tunnel vision on and overlook, because I was doing it for a long time and wow, I may have missed a lot of good games, but thank goodness I finally came around and started looking into those. So one interesting thing is some of these titles are going to have dual release dates. And what I mean by dual release dates is because the Xbox, it's Xbox Series S and X, SX, Sex, Xbox Series S and Xbox Series X comes out November 10th. And then PlayStation 5 comes out November 12th. So, for example, Assassin's Creed. So Assassin's Creed Valhalla comes out on November 10th for everything except PlayStation 5. And then it comes out on November 12th for PlayStation 5. So that's an interesting one. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War coming out November 13th. Because that's after the release date of both consoles, it's releasing for all platforms. So PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox S, X, and digital for PlayStation 5, November 13th. And then Cyberpunk. Here's an interesting one. Cyberpunk is supposed to release on November 19th. But it's only releasing on November 19th for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Not the new consoles, not next-gen consoles. Now, they've been working on this thing forever. I think they were expecting this thing to come out a year ago or maybe at the beginning of this year. The whole 2020, debacle thing wasn't the big effect on this. They announced the pushback of Cyberpunk way before the pandemic happened. So that's not why it took so long. And therefore, I'm shocked why they were actually able to even get it out this year if they were having such a problem with it. But that's not coming out on next-gen consoles. So no PlayStation 5. I'm saying on release date. I didn't see any release dates for PlayStation 5, Xbox S or One, or PlayStation 5 digital. Let me know down in the comment section if you guys are getting a next-gen console. And if you are, what are you getting? Xbox S? Xbox X? Are you getting a PlayStation 5? A PlayStation 5 digital? Did you pre-order? Do you have to pre-order? Because I think that these things, just like always, they're impossible to find. If you didn't like pre-order and jump on the bandwagon right away and commit, you're probably going to have a hard time getting them. I didn't pre-order anything. My PlayStation's right there, my PlayStation 4. I've barely used it. I try and play as much as I can on PC because for me, personally, a lot of the games, because I have some injuries to my hands, playing long playing sessions is harder with the controller. It's easier with the mouse because it's actually my thumb. And the setup for recording and all that stuff is pretty good on everything now, but I really like having my microphone and all that and be able to sit. I can play for long periods of time sitting in my chair at my desk. So that's just for me. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to get it. I still like playing on console. There's some games that come out on console that are super fun, and some of them that are obviously unique to consoles only. So I will be getting one, but here's my justification. I've kind of always been a PlayStation person. I've had Xboxes. I had them. I just, because I do YouTube, I've never really used them though, because when you have an option for both and most of your friends play on one, or your best friend or your business partner, you guys play on one console, then that's what you play on. So that's always pretty much been PlayStation. But nowadays, with the way that Microsoft is with Windows, and I don't know. I think from now on, almost every game that you can play on Xbox, you're going to be able to play on Windows. So why would I buy an Xbox if I have a PC, right? So I would buy a PlayStation and my PC would kind of be able to do all the Xbox stuff. Now, I'm sure that they're going to keep some stuff separate. It would be a smart business move if they did. Better for gamers if they didn't, but a smarter business move if they did, because just think of people saying, well, I invested in a PC and I like playing games on my PC and I like playing games on my Xbox, but why should I buy a new Xbox when I have a PC? I don't know if anybody's talking about that, but that's an interesting thing, right? Interesting conundrum for Microsoft, because there's a lot of games, especially with crossplay. Even with crossplay, that's a whole nother ball game. I'm talking about games that were just on Xbox I could play on my PC through the Xbox app or store. They really got to come up with some better names. Anyway, let's go back to this. So Assassin's Creed will be the first big title that I jump on for sure. And then obviously Call of Duty Black Ops will be doing the zombies on YAW. And on You Always Win. And then whatever campaign, however the campaign is, I'll be doing that, of course. I never finished the campaign on the last one, even though it was really good. Something was wrong with it for me. I had a graphics card go out. I had jitters. You guys saw it. It was terrible. And if I can't get it to work correctly, I don't want to pass on like garbage content. So that's in the past now anyway. So let me know in the comment section again if you guys are getting a console. If you are, what are you getting? Because I'll get the PlayStation 5 digital. There isn't one disc that I bought for this game here for PS4. Now PS3, I always bought discs. That's when GameStop and EB Games and all those places were fun to go at midnight, and the launch and the whole part. That's all fallen by the wayside. And that was a big part of like the gaming culture, and it's gone. Everybody loves looking at technology and always looking forward. But sometimes we lose some things that were just fun. Like going to GameStop at midnight for the release. There was lines, there was food, there was all these gamers out there. You get your game, you run home and you play. It was really fun stuff, right? And there's some gamers that never get out of their house anyway, so it was a thing to do. But it was really fun, and it's no longer a thing because of digital downloads. And I think that as we go farther into the future, there's going to be a few things that we look back upon in our lives that we go, wow, yeah, technology's cool and all that, but wow, it kind of sucks that doesn't exist anymore. Now, I'm not talking specifically about that. I'm talking about things in general. There's things that no longer happen because of our technological advances with computers, with the internet, with all that stuff. And just to say, well, that's what it is. It's kind of like people that play World of Warcraft and they've been playing for 10 years, right? They're holding on to something that they love. There's something that goes deeper that they really, that you're holding on to. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's things that maybe we're letting go that we're going to regret not too distant future. It's going to become so stale, so sterile. There's no, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm crazy, but I am looking forward to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, November 10th, and then Call of Duty, and then Cyberpunk, November 19th. So it's going to be interesting, Cyberpunk, It's going to be really interesting for me. I tried just to stay away from all the information, I talked about it a lot before. I don't like getting hyped up and then, this game's coming out 2 years from now. And it's just like, so I just stayed away from it. I know what it is. I know these developers. They only make epic games or they don't make any, right? It's like, it's going to be good. It's going to be huge. It's going to be complex. But so we also have Doom. Looks like we're going to play Doom. That's what I forgot to talk about. So Doom Eternal's DLC, The Ancient Gods, they specifically in an article with the developers talked about the Marauder. They talked about the Marauder. And so I'm not the only one. Apparently it is like the thorn in everyone's side is the Marauder. And they said there's areas they're going to throw in 2 Marauders at you and all these the imps and the little things that attack. Those were the worst. Having 2 Marauders on you? Wow. So it should be interesting. I think by the end, I finally kind of got a handle on the Marauders. But there's a lot of twists and turns they're going to do. And interestingly enough, this DLC is going to be a standalone DLC. So if you don't own Doom Eternal, you can just buy the DLC and play it, right? And you're going to start the game with all the guns. So instead of having you build up, what have I been talking about forever? It's like you finally get the good armor. You finally get all the good guns and the game ends. This one, they're doing it in reverse. They listened to me. They didn't listen to me. They just came up with a great idea. They're going to give you everything from the get-go. And what they're going to do is tune the game to make it more difficult. What they're going to do, just like I said, exactly in Serious Sam, there's certain enemies that require certain guns. There's certain alternate fire from certain guns that certain enemies need. What they're going to do is they're going to throw these combos at you where you're having to switch guns, use alternate fire, and all this different stuff. They talked about the microwave beam, that it wasn't used as much, and now it's going to be a little bit more prevalent. So it should be really interesting. It's a very cool place that I see these developers are coming from in designing these. It's not just like, hey, let's paint this up and throw it out there and have them go, blow stuff up. They're really getting into it. They know people hate the Marauders, so they're going to throw 2 Marauders. They said they're going to try and make it a little more fair, but they're still going to test your skills right up to frustration. And doing this stuff, again, giving you all the stuff, all the fun stuff to have from the get-go, but then making the game to where you're not just running through it like you're in cheat mode. You're having to go through. You may have your whole arsenal to choose from, but you better be able to know which gun to use, how to swap over to it. It should be really interesting. And according to this, it says October 20th. So that'll be the next big thing that we do before all the titles drop in November. Until then, I'm going to poke around. I'm going to look for some indie games and some different stuff to play and see if maybe we can come across another gem or two like we did with a few of the games throughout this year and last year. So that's going to do it for me, you guys. Hope you guys found this interesting, maybe found some information. See you guys next video.